G'day gamers, Aussie Wargamer here in Moree, Australia, and welcome to Adepticon Online. It's really exciting that I can be here bringing you this tutorial today, all the way from the land down under, and I hope that everyone is safe and is at home, getting your hobby done, but enjoying this amazing initiative. So thanks to all those who put it together, to AOS Coach and everyone involved, and I hope you enjoy the tutorial. So I think for many hobbyists, the ultimate goal is to be able to paint an army in a way that looks really effective but is nice and quick and simple and easy to do. Now, of course, that's not everyone's cup of tea, but I think for a lot of hobbyists, we want to get our models on the table, but we want them to look good as well. So I'm going to teach you a way of painting blue horrors that is nice and quick and simple. You can smash out a unit of 10 or so in a couple of hours and looks really, really effective. And yeah, we'll mainly be using Talisar Blue contrast paint and a few other paints as well. So let's get to the tutorial now. So today we're going to be painting this blue horror, and we're going to start with a very light zenithal highlight. We don't want to go too dark, so we don't want black in the recesses or anything like that. We want a nice grey, maybe a mid-grey, and then zenithal up to white. If you don't have an airbrush, you can do it with rattle cans. Otherwise, just an all-over coat of grey cere will work as well. But what the zenithal prime will do is create that stronger contrast between the dark areas and the light areas for the contrast paint to go over and really get some good definition. So we're going to use Talisar Blue as our main paint here for the flesh, the contrast paint, and then we're going to use Vallejo Game Color Gold, Yellow, and Vallejo Mecha Color Red to create a nice orange for the flames. Our metallic is going to be Vallejo Metal Color Dark Aluminium and Retributor Armor from Citadel, which we're going to wash down with Army Painter Strong Tone. The areas like the tongue and that kind of stuff will be Warpaint's Crusted Saw. Our black is Vallejo Model Color Black, which we'll use for the eyes, and then Army Painter Warpaint's Drake Tooth, which is my favorite cool beige color. So we're going to start with an all-over coat of Talisar Blue contrast paint. We're going to paint this all over the model. It's best to do it in sections, a little bit at a time, and you really want to load your brush nice and loaded with the paint. You don't want to go on too thin. Contrast paints do glaze very well, but for what we're doing here, the one thick coat that is on the tin for contrast paint is exactly what we want to do. Being careful that we're getting stuff into the recesses and yeah, really getting a nice full all over coverage. Sorry for bumping the camera there. As you can see, I'm just doing it in sections so that I know, firstly, I'm not missing anything, but also bits aren't drying while I come back over it. So we're keeping everything nice and wet as we do this full coat. So after the Duncan Rhodes cross dissolve, you can see we've got the Talisar Blue on and it's all dried, and you can see that nice contrast there in the flesh tone. Recesses are quite dark, up to quite light. Now, of course, if you wanted to, you could add another highlight to push that contrast even further. I'm not going to do that today because we want to get these done nice and quick, and it looks fine as it is. So we're going to do the flame, and we're going to use Vallejo Game Color Gold Yellow. Now we want to put this on in a nice thick coat because we're going to wet blend it in with the red. And the reason why we're going to do that is because blue and orange are complementary colors. They're opposite each other on the color wheel. And if we blend our yellow and our red together, it will create a nice orange flame. And also, blue is the coolest color, and orange is the warmest color. So colors that are cool tend towards blue, and colors that are warm tend towards orange. Warm colors will come to the foreground and cool colors will shrink to the background. So to get this flame to really pop, we're going to make it this nice orange. So I'm just going to go one thick coat of yellow here, and then I'm going to come in with the red afterwards. Just putting this yellow on nice and thick. So we've got a nice thick coat of yellow here. It's still wet, so I'm going to not clean my brush, still keep that yellow in my brush, and I'm going to pick up some of that red, and I'm going to pull it along the ridges and the edges of the flame. So we want the yellow to be in the deepest parts of the flame, and the red to be in the highest parts of the flame, with the orange in the middle. So I'm going to take that little bit of red, and I'm going to push it up toward, like from the yellow up toward the tips where I want it to be most red. And then I'm going to come back in and out, get a little bit more yellow, come back in with the yellow, come back in with the red. And we're really going to blend these two colors together using, wet blend, dirty brush, whatever, to try and get a nice transition between the yellow and the red. So we've got that, what appears to be an orange flame. We really want to push the red at the tips and the yellow in the recesses. That's the important part with the orange transitioning in between. So I just went back and forth for a minute or two just to really get the right shade that I wanted, the right blend that I wanted, with the yellow in the background, in the recesses, the red at the tips, and having a nice orange flame. I just wanted to make sure that we were nicely blended. So we're going to do the metal now. We're going to do a silver bracelet and a gold bracelet now. So I'm just going to use Vallejo metal color dark aluminium for the metal and Retributor armor for the gold, and then I'm going to wash it down with Army Painter Strong Tone just to push that contrast even further. Sorry for that blurry focus. Now I'm going to come in and do the gold the same. So I've done the silver and the gold, washed it down with Army Painter Strong Tone, and then painted a little red dot there where the gem is. Wanted to make the gem red to counterbalance the flame, I guess, to have a nice color continuity there. So I'm going to do the teeth and the toes now with Army Painter Drake Tooth. So this is a off-white, a cream color. And with the toenails, I'm not going to bother shading it or anything. I'm just going to bang it on the toenails, leaving the blue in between. But for the teeth, I want to put Drake Tooth over all the teeth, including the gap in between. So you can see I've done the toes and the teeth here. I've made sure that I've put the Drake Tooth in between the teeth as well. So it's not just the individual teeth being picked out, but the whole thing, because I want to put in Army Painter Crusted Saw in between there to make the mouth a bit gummy and a bit yucky and a bit bright. And I'm going to use the same color for the tongue as well. Now I'm going to water down this Crusted Saw. Any sort of crimson or plum color will work. And we just want to make a bit of a wash or a bit of a glaze, and we're going to paint that in between the teeth just to give it that animalistic kind of red gummy kind of feel. And then I'm going to do a more solid coat on the tongue. So we really want to work this into the gaps, and then we'll pick out the teeth later. Sorry again about the focus. This is the first time I'm using this setup. So yeah, thanks for watching and supporting me and Adepticon in this time where we are all at home hobbying rather than being out at conventions. So I'm just pushing it into the teeth. It doesn't matter too much if I get it onto the tooth itself, because I'm going to go over that in a second. So I'm going to paint a heavier coat on the tongue and pick out the teeth individually so they're a little better defined. So here you can see I have finished up the tongue and picked out the teeth again individually, so they're more defined and a little bit stronger. And I threw a bit of red on the end of the tongue, again to tie in with the gem and with the tips of the flame, and just providing a little bit of tonal variation between the red and the crimson. So all we have to do now is his eyes. So I'm going to pick out the eye with a dot of black and then a smaller dot of the drake tooth, the off-white that we have. Any white will work. I'm just using the off-white because it's what I've got. I'm also going to use my size 0 instead of my size 5 brush. So here we have the finished blue horror. You can see that I've painted the black and that little dot of white just to add a little bit of light to the eye there. And the great thing about doing blue horror eyes this way is that if you make a mistake, you can always just paint the black over the top of the white, super easy, and give it another go. So that is our model done, and you can see that it is pretty easy, pretty quick, but looks effective. You could smash out a unit of these, a unit of 10, in a couple of hours. So a great effective way of doing it. Here's a finished unit, all based and ready to go. So there you have it. Of course, you don't have to use the colours, the exact colours that I used. The Talisar Blue contrast paint is, of course, the important one to get that nice, quick, easy flesh done in one go. But, you know, the yellows and the reds and those kind of colours, whatever works for you, whatever paint brands that you have. The important thing for those flames, though, is that you're getting that nice, bright orange between the yellow and the red. And, of course, a deep crimson for the mouth area is important as well to get the nice contrast there between the white or the off-white teeth and the blue as well. And you can see with the tongue and the flames and the gem there, we've got that nice triad of color on top of the blue, and it just really pops and really stands out. As far as basing goes, you can see that I've based it with sort of a gold and a turquoise, as well as the brown sand and a little tuft there. Because I have sort of an Egyptian theme going on with my zinch, but you can base them any way you want, really, because it's the blue and the orange that really pops out and is really going to stand out on the model. So neutral tones will work fairly effectively for that. But yeah, you can base it according to your army's basing scheme, and it should look pretty rad. Well, I hope everyone got something out of that video, and thank you for watching it. If you want to see more of my videos, you can certainly subscribe. I'm not making any new content at the moment. I'm taking a little bit of a break from YouTube content. I will throw up the odd tutorial from time to time, but certainly next year we're going to come back bigger and better. I do have a whole bunch of videos on the channel already, particularly Road to CanCon videos over the past 2 years, but there's lots of great stuff on there as well. So if you want to support me, you can go and watch a bunch of those videos and subscribe so that you'll know when I throw up a video next. Again, thanks for watching. Enjoy your Adepticon online, and we'll talk to you later. Catch us later.